G'day traders, it's S.SAri here from the Trade to Prosperous group, giving you the Thursday update based on Australian time. This is the place where you will see the use of advanced Fibonacci and Wyckoff TA along with my other strategies to trade this market. Today we have a mixture of results from the Nasdaq, SPX and BTC and the US dollar, and we'll have a quick look at those as well. One thing that is in common with all these charts is that they all found their bottom and now recently a resistance and a support at a certain level. So we're going to look at that as well. But rest assured, I do still see this as a bear market with a relief rally. So let's look at Bitcoin at the moment. We have this selling climax. We had this response, and there's two models to approach this. So at the moment, it's not clear what it is, but I do think that we could be here for another month if this was to be dropped. So this level that is currently in place, this trend line, this Fibonacci fan is acting as support. We found that this is the initial support, and we had this rally, this scoop, and we had this good rally. And now the question is that our automatic response or is that our second up thrust? So we are yet to see this, and we'll find out. If we drop this, then we're going to think that it's going to turn out to be in line with the Wyckoff accumulation model. There's two of them in general. They're not exact. There's much more than that. There's four models, but we're going to align it with the two main models. So this is what I have at the moment. If we were to drop this, I do see it coming down much further and a few levels. These Fibonacci fans could play a result as well, but we'll see how that goes. But this is what I have at the moment in terms of mindset. We're seeing that the rally, so this is a 4-hour chart. This is a 200 and 233 moving average, and we found our resistance as well. So these moving averages come into play a few times in the past. So, and again, it's done the same. We've seen our automatic response when we first bounced here, and we found a resistance, and rest assured that's the reason why we had this as well. And if you look at the bigger picture, if I was to go to the daily, you can see this resistance line. Give me a sec. We'll just change the log. That's pretty much it there. So just let's go to, I suppose, a bit more out. You will see that. We'll just hide that for a sec. That this is a 1.272 extension as well. So it's a strong resistance level. That 1.2 extension is from the bottom on the macro level. So if we were to just go all the way down and look at this big picture, having problems with my mouse at the moment for some reason. So I'm using the tablet pad. So we have this big macro level, so we use that as the reference point to the bottom, and we've got the 1.618 as a resistance level, double top, and rejection. So this 1.272 is currently playing the resistance. So if we go back in there, I'll see if I can get, actually it should be there on this non-logarithmic, on the log scale. You can see that over here it is acting as resistance in confluence with the 200 and 233 moving average. So that's why we got this good rejection. And now, are we going to see these potential two models will play out? There's one point that I want to make, and it can be a confluence, is that here as well, we had something similar, a bit more complex, where we had our selling climax there, we had our automatic response, and I'm assuming that's the case, and our ST, and we had pretty much the Wyckoff accumulation, where was our STB and spring, and that's what we had. So that took about 60 days, and maybe this could take another 60 days. So we have something in the making, and just looking for the accumulation model. And I've talked about where I expect the target to be roughly, and how to approach this market in the previous posts. So having said that, let's look at the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq, I do see this potential play out where we've got this A, B, C, D play, and you can see with the Nasdaq, we've also bounced strongly, better than it's very similar to Bitcoin, a bit more advanced, and unlike Bitcoin, it's found support. And so this level here, we are looking for. Hopefully, we don't get a double top. It hasn't attempted a double top, but if it does get a double top, it's going to do very similar to Bitcoin. And if that's the case, then Bitcoin was likely to drop further on. If we look at the Nasdaq when it's coming online, another 10 hours. Okay, so in those 10 hours, what is Bitcoin going to do? Probably just stay where it is. So if this does try to do a double top, and you've got to be careful. So if this does a double top and it gets a rejection, we can potentially come down very similar to Bitcoin and go through the wick-off accumulation phase as well. I was hoping that this could go further up and Bitcoin will follow suit. So at the moment, very similar to Bitcoin, we've got the 200 on the 4 hour acting as a resistance of 233, and also if you look at my chart, it's the 618 from my fib extension. So the Nasdaq is at a strong resistance, and we could potentially get a little double top in the short time frame and come back down. If we were to look at the SP 500, give us a sec. We have something similar as well. Well, that also found its resistance, and maybe we'll use this neckline for support to make higher highs. This is the area that I potentially see. If it was to get above this area is definitely going to be an area of resistance. So that's aligned with the Nasdaq. And if you look at the US dollar, it hasn't changed. It's on the market. Yep. So it's playing up. It's finding support. It's actually bounced. And if we were to just go and see if it's live, yes, it's live. And so we could have some consolidation, and then we'll see if it goes to the upside or not. So let's go back to Bitcoin, and you can see the results here, where if the Nasdaq was to drop, then we will potentially come down all the way through. And if we look at the alignment with the Wyckoff model, where that chart go, there we go. Let's just have a quick look. So that's the model that I have. We've done, so the up thrust is potentially that there. And so we've got this range of resistance. So for us, that's this range here. So that range, and if we were to drop and come back down here, that will be our second test phase of B, and we'll get this double bottom and potentially move up. So that will be another buying opportunity there, if that was the case. And if it was to come up like these scenarios, there's actually two models. So one could actually come up from there and get resistance, and then come back down. And what we'd probably like to see is higher lows on this accumulation. Otherwise, we can see this model play out as well. So those are two things that I'm looking at, and obviously this range is going to be an area of resistance based on the Fibonacci and these moving averages that are coming down, which could potentially align there. So we got my first major rejection area or resistance 38 to 40k. That area is a big area of interest to me for shorting, and then continue on down to the downside, and we'll see how we go. So give me a like and a share, and any feedback or commentary, and then I'll see you soon. Cheers.